In this video, we are going to talk about SPX6900, its recent price action, the important support and resistance areas, and where we can expect SPX price to go in the coming days and weeks. We'll start by looking at the weekly chart, and wow guys, SPX has reacted incredibly well to the support area that we have talked about in the last video. SPX went up about 40%, over 40% just in the last week. This rally is absolutely incredible. We have talked about the support area that we have been in at around 50 cents. This is a support area that has been very crucial for the last year or so, even more than a year, about a year and a half. And now that we have very clearly reacted to this support area and we are significantly above it, let's look at what the next resistance areas are going to be. One significant resistance area that I'm seeing here on the chart is this area at around 92 cents. As you can see, we've hit that multiple times in the past, and it's looking like it is one of the more significant resistance areas. Obviously, the most significant one is this one right here at about $1.5 to $1.6. This is a very crucial resistance areas that we've hit 3 times on major highs in the last year or so, but this one is a lot further away. So the next one for us to look at, in my opinion, is this one at around 90 cents. So this recovery by SPX is really good to see. Obviously, it's very correlated to the recovery by Bitcoin. Bitcoin has recovered very sharply all the way from about 80K to over 90K in just a few days, and SPX has followed it and even outperformed it in the last week, going up 40% in just a few days. What I will say is that I wouldn't get too excited. I think that it's still too early for us to really see a coin like SPX, a very volatile meme coin, really outperforming Bitcoin on a longer time horizon. I think that we will likely see SPX probably starting to struggle. Maybe it will happen now, maybe it will happen once we hit the area of about 90 cents. The next resistance area I talked about, it could get there and then just start dumping. SPX is still incredibly volatile, incredibly risky, and usually for such a fragile coin, such a small market cap meme coin, to really start outperforming Bitcoin and most of the crypto market, we would need to see a more significant period of euphoria by the entire crypto market and an alt season. For example, from this low from about March to April all the way to July, which is when SPX got its most significant rally. Back then, the entire crypto market was doing a lot better. Bitcoin was breaking new all-time highs, Ethereum was skyrocketing. So this was a very different period than where we are right now. Right now, Bitcoin is sitting at below 100K. There is still a lot of fear in the market and a lot of concern that the bear market may have started. And if the bear market did start, then SPX will likely just dump a lot from here and go way lower and potentially break into new all-time lows. But right now, obviously, SPX is doing very well and Bitcoin is also recovering, getting its rally. But I think that for SPX to really head all the way up to the resistance area at about $1.60 and start outperforming most of the crypto market, we would need to see a much more significant rally by Bitcoin, followed by a very significant rally by Ethereum. I think that if Ethereum starts rallying and breaking into new all-time highs and getting all the way above 5K, then we will start to see an absolute madness in the altcoin market, and we will likely see SPX as well getting incredible rallies. But as I said, I think that it's still a bit too early. Maybe last week when we were right at the support area at around 50 cents, it would be a better move to buy SPX because the risk reward ratio was a lot better. But now that we have already seen this rally in the last week, it's becoming a lot riskier. We are getting a lot closer to the resistance area I talked about at 90 cents. And it's not something that I would personally bet on compared to Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin will likely outperform most altcoins in the coming weeks. And of course, SPX does have a potential to be an exception and it can get absolutely insane rallies, but I think that most likely it will not sustain on the long term. Of course, none of what I'm saying is financial advice. I'm just saying what I personally think. But now let's go ahead and look at SPX on the 1-hour chart. And what we can see here is looking really nice, very clear, higher highs, higher lows, and it's looking like we are just continuing to rally. Although in the last hour, we've seen a pretty sharp dump. Of course, this isn't that significant on a larger time frame, but we do need to be a little bit careful. It looks like we may have a double top forming here. Of course, it's still very early, but if we see the price dropping below this low, at around 68 cents, then this will likely form a double top and actually start going a lot lower. But if we can just recover from here and continue the uptrend and break back above 75 cents, then we will likely just continue the rally. And in my opinion, it's very likely that we will just head all the way up to about 90 cents to the resistance area I showed you on the weekly chart. On the hourly chart, as I said, we need to be careful and make sure that we're not forming a double top right here. But in general, the structure is looking very nice. And even if we do form a double top and start dumping a little bit, there's still a significant support area, pretty significant on the hourly chart at least, at around 44 cents. On the weekly chart as well, the area of 40 to 50 cents is a significant support area. So even if we do form a double top here, it doesn't mean that it's the end for the rally for SPX, especially if Bitcoin continues to rally. I think that most likely with Bitcoin in the coming weeks, we will see it heading back above 100K and continuing its relief rally. So if that does happen, then SPX will likely also continue its rally and perform relatively well. That's going to be it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it and you want more videos about SPX, as well as other meme coins, altcoins, and the entire crypto market, make sure to subscribe for more updates. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.